Hello and welcome to Taiwan Talks. I'm Ian Kavat. Chinese leader Xi Jinping reportedly told US President Joe Biden that peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific are less important than China taking Taiwan. That's according to Mike Gallagher, chair of the US's China House Select Committee. We're talking about this and other issues in today's show. With me to discuss them are Ting-sheng, Institute for National Defense and Security Research Deputy Chief Executive Officer and former Ministry of National Defense Vice Chief of General Staff, and Chenlung Kuo, Deputy Editor-in-Chief of Taiwan's leading newspaper group, the United Daily News. Both a very warm welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at Mike Gallagher's comments in an interview on CBS's Face the Nation. Watch this.
Xi tripled down on his threats to Taiwan. He reportedly said to the president in their meeting that peace and stability in the region are less important than solving the Taiwan question. The CCP's official statement afterwards said that we need to stop arming Taiwan and support their reunification efforts. So all of this should remind us that no amount of relentless diplomacy will make a difference if we don't fix the fundamental problem.
The fundamental problem that needs fixing, he goes on to say, is the military imbalance across the strait. So, General Lee, let me come to you first. Firstly, what do you make of Mike Gallagher's comments there, claimed that Xi Jinping said directly to Joe Biden that peace is secondary to China taking Taiwan?
First of all, it's no doubt. So the China CCP core value, core vision is not changed. They try to expansion their military power and continue more provocacy and more growth, and they try to get Taiwan back. This is core value. But different is Taiwan. Taiwan core value is the freedom and democracy. So we are insist about this one. So don't trust Xi Jinping what he say.
Chenlung, so there's been no change. The core value is still essentially to move to take Taiwan, either peacefully or not peacefully. You know, what can we say about why this particular comment has not come out before now? Why was it the focus of the media coverage was about Xi Jinping saying there's no near-term plan to take Taiwan?
I think there's a different way to characterize what Xi Jinping has said to President Biden during the summit. I think my understanding is that China had never said that they're going to rule out the use of force against Taiwan if Taiwan declare independence. So this had been stipulated in their anti-succession law. This had been their goal all along. But I think what they are trying to say to the American is what we use the term in Chinese is called 内外有别. What you said to the foreigners and what you said to your own people. So there's a subtle difference here. He tried to convey the message to the President Biden is that China would not launch a war against the United States. But if they have to, it will be because of the Taiwan. I agree with the general said that we have to measure up to what they are really have been doing recently. Right? So
just like August last year, they have launched their missile exercise and around Taiwan. So the U.S. Speaker Pelosi visit Taiwan. They not only threat Taiwan, they have another 5 missiles landing in the Japan EEZ. So you just said this year, they also in the August, they have a big exercise. You know, they almost have the 13 warships around Taiwan, blockade Taiwan. So you say they will have the peace, they will not invade Taiwan. Nobody believe it, nobody believe it.
Okay. Recently, the Commanding General of the US Army Pacific, Charles Flynn, has said that new intermediate range land-based missiles will be deployed in the Asia-Pacific region next year, and this is specifically to deter a Chinese invasion. Can you tell us how significant it is that the US has taken this move?
I remember that the U.S. Defense Minister, Mr. Esper, had mentioned that in a couple of years, the U.S. is trying to deploy this kind of mid-range surface-to-surface missiles along the countries crossing the China. That means Australia, Japan, and Korea. And it was, I think the time is 2019. And now, with all the countries in the area had increased their defense budget, all of them had increased over like 2% of the GDP. A lot of them are buying like Tomahawks. For instance, Australia is buying Tomahawks, and also Japan is buying a lot of Tomahawks. Tomahawk is a perfect cruise missile, will be launched for this kind of purposes. So I think the time frame by next year will be the first batch of Tomahawk will be arriving in Australia and also in Japan. And I think that is the time frame that the general had been mentioning about.
General.
If you have the big picture to see the Pacific area, you will understand how the China and CCP military growth, especially they have the 3-step 2020, they already have the mechanism and information. But 2035, after the 15 years, they have another plan, 2035. They will build their army by the modernization. But 2050, they will try to build their army, be first class of the army. So under intelligence and strategists, Western country will study. In this area is unbalanced. So this is the reason I believe the US will try to quick employ their missile in this area, especially in Taiwan is first island chain, middle of the first island chain. So how important Taiwan? North is the Japan and Miyako Channel. South is Philippines. They have the Basi Channel and Ballintang Channel. So this area so important. If the CCP military more expansion to West Pacific, more expansion will be threat not only Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, first island chain, will threat to the second island chain, to the Guam.
Okay. Yeah, so Taiwan obviously is very strategic for the US. Chenlung, let's take a look at Taiwan's defense budget. This has been increasing for the past several years. Let's take a look at the figures gathered by Global Taiwan. You can see increases over the course of President Tsai Ing-wen's presidency, with the 2024 defense budget planned for around $1.8 billion, which accounts for between 2.5 to 2.6% of Taiwan's GDP. What sort of message does it send with that increase, which is above, say, like the NATO minimum, and it makes Taiwan one of the biggest spenders in the region?
I think the NATO standard, like 2% of GDP, is the basic requirement that the U.S. had been asking allies to put down their defense budget. But I think for Taiwan, there's more than one purpose. There's two purposes. One is try to share some of the burden that the U.S. ally have been showing all along, like what can we contribute to this alliance against China. But the other thing particular is that how Taiwan can defend itself if we are facing with a PLA attack. I think this is even more important. I think now there's a lot of things happening. For instance, according to CSIS war games, that when the first war started, there's a massive consumption of missile. For instance, air defense missile. I think that is something we have to consider right now. We have to make ourselves strong enough in order to defend this kind of attack.
The new indigenous air defense, land-based air defense system that Taiwan is starting to manufacture, is that a big deal that Taiwan is building its own?
So first of all, I want to talk about the budget. Okay. So the budget increase is the one signal and message delivery. This is the determination Taiwan defends ourselves. This is very important message and signal to tell others and international community and tell the CCP, tell them Taiwan prepare. Taiwan already prepare. The indigenous industry defense industry, we have our own submarine. You know why? Due to Taiwan is the very special situation. Taiwan is an island country. Around Taiwan is the old water. So the water from shore and very deep, very deep water, blue water, we call it blue water. If you have the submarine, it's to tell your enemy, be careful, don't be more aggressive. And another one is we build our own the defense systems, is our missile. We have the own ground to air, ground to ground, and air to ground missile. We are very sophisticated missile built Taiwan-made.
Chenlung, how does this air defense system fill the gaps in Taiwan's air defense? This is how it's being built, because it's not the same as the US's Avenger missile system.
Right.
How does it differ?
The Avenger system is more like a short-range ground-to-air defense system. But Taiwan used to have a called Eagle system that had been retired. So we are trying to fill the gap by having this TC2. We call it Tiangong and Tianjian. Actually, it's used as filling the gap of this missile. Actually, I think the Defense Ministry have already begun to order. They're going to set up like 30 mobile launching systems, and this is going to be very important for Taiwan's air defense. Right?
Of course, Taiwan isn't the only target of China's threats and intimidation tactics, as General Lee mentioned. US ally Australia has experienced laser phasing, near-miss intercepts, and most recently, the use of sonar pulses against its Navy divers. For more, my next guest is John Lee, a senior fellow at Hudson Institute and a former senior national security advisor to Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop. Take a look. John, Australia says that a Chinese warship had used sonar pulses to target Australian Navy divers. Now, Beijing has countered that by saying that Australia should stick to the facts. How is this incident being received where you are in Sydney?
Well, this came really just days after and weeks after our Prime Minister Albanese met Xi Jinping to reset the relationship. The Australian warship was within the Japanese exclusive economic zone, undertaking a United Nations mandated mission. The divers in particular were clearing some fishing nets, I believe, from the propellers of their vessel. The Chinese PLA vessel launch some sonar pulses at the divers, which can be extremely dangerous when you're in the water. It can lead to minor injuries such as temporary deafness, or more serious injuries such as brain issues that can be fatal. So it was a very provocative, dangerous, and I would say illegitimate act by the Chinese.
And yet, would you say it's still below that level of conflict? What we term the grey zone warfare of China?
Well, this is not unusual for the Chinese to do that. They're constantly harassing not just Australian ships and planes, but Japanese, Taiwanese, Southeast Asian ships and planes. Now, whether that's within the grey zone, that's really a matter for policy. The grey zone really means something that is below the threshold of forceful response. When you add the accumulation of Chinese harassment of this type, it comes very close to crossing that grey zone line into crossing a red line.
And John, why is China doing this?
There's a couple of reasons. The first thing is that China doesn't like foreign ships and foreign vessels being in waters that it claims as its own. It harasses the personnel and the vessels of other countries to normalize Chinese coercion, but also to ward them off, to try to prevent them from conducting their normal operations. And in doing this over time, China's trying to change facts on the ground, that is, to normalize and make permanent a Chinese supervision of these contested areas and ward off any entities from other countries.
Is Australia responding in the way that China would like, in that maybe its navy, its military becomes intimidated?
I would certainly say that the response from the Australian political leaders have been somewhat submissive. This issue wasn't raised by Albanese at APEC when he met Xi Jinping for the second time. The Australian government has been very guarded and very meek in its description of the events. And it's really only after domestic pressure that the Australian government have launched significant protests against the Chinese. So if I was sitting in Beijing, what I'd read from this is that the Australian government does not want to pick a fight with China, a diplomatic fight with China at a time of attempts to repair the diplomatic relationship. And I think this will be exploited by Beijing as it has in the past.
That was John Lee of the Hudson Institute speaking with me earlier. From Australia to the Philippines, which has come under increasing pressure from China in the South China Sea, or West Philippine Sea as it's known in Manila. The US and the Philippines recently conducted 3 days of joint maritime and aerial patrols, coined MARPAT, in response to China's growing ambitions in the region. They were focused on the Philippines' northernmost tip, the Bataan Islands, lying some 200 kilometers southeast of Taiwan. Chenlung, let me come to you. China said the Philippines was stirring up trouble and a Chinese vessel shadowed the patrols. How significant is MARPAT in the context of all the activity that's going on around the Philippines?
I think it shows that the U.S. had a very strong security commitment to Philippines. I mean, this did not exist prior to 2012 when there's a similar kind of incident happened between Philippines and China, and the U.S. simply asking Philippines to resort to arbitration, so that lead to the Hague arbitration in 2016. And so I think now the U.S. and Philippines realize that they can only make China accept the reality through strength. And that is the reason why they have the joint military exercise. And I believe that after that, there's also going to be a joint military exercise between Australia and Philippines. And maybe Japan will be having a similar kind of joint exercise with Philippines. So Philippines nowadays is getting every help they can get nowadays.
General Lee, does China only respond to strength?
Just like Australia, Philippines, and United States maybe have the joint exercise in this area, just like the East China Sea have the Korea, Japan, and United States joint exercise in this area. Due to they feel the threat from China, so they will continue to conduct the joint exercise patrol in this area. Just like you mentioned about the Bataan Island, it's very close to Taiwan. I'm the fighter pilot. I've been seeing the Bataan Islands many times because we are kept in this area, protect Taiwan area and airspace. We believe this is international water and also international airspace. This all the warship and aircraft in this area protect commitment. This area should be maintained peace and stability.
Chenlung, so does that benefit Taiwan? These patrols so close?
I think so, right. Actually, what Philippines is concerned, there's two sides. One is on the Bataan Sea, and the other will be on the South China Sea. Now the U.S. had the Philippine naval facility. There is about 5 more of them being leased to the American. So I think this is also the Philippine concern about what is going to happen to Taiwan, and that is also concerned Philippines. There's not only geographically very close, but also they have a lot of Philippine people working in Taiwan, and that is also their mostly national security concern.
General Lee?
I mentioned more about the Philippines. Philippines is a big country. They have almost 7,000 islands, maybe 100 million people around this island. So their country or state interest is to protect this area. So include Australia and United States joint exercise in this area, especially in the South China Sea area, is good for the Philippine state interest. And also I've been traveled to the Semboga, I've been traveled to Cebu and Manila, and also in the north of the Luzon Island, we call the Cagayan. So this big country and huge population, they should protect their country, they should protect their state interest. So I strongly believe that United States, Japan, and Australia will continue to conduct the joint exercise with Philippines to protect this area, peace and stability.
And Chenlung, do you think that will be enough to deter China?
I think there's two things that in the future might disrupt the so-called quote-unquote strategic compromise that been reached during the APEC summit between Xi Jinping and Biden. One is what is going to happen to Taiwan. I mean, the U.S. have been warning China not to interfere with Taiwan's elections, but we are seeing already there's fighter jets crossing the middle line. Another thing is what will happen to the South China Sea, especially the clashes that China is having with Philippines these days. And this is another thing that is very dangerous for this the compromise that they have reached in APEC. That those two scenarios maybe is going to disrupt the compromise they reach.
So the two biggest flashpoints are South China Sea and Taiwan Strait, of course.
I would like to mention more about the PLA, the fighter pilot and the Navy, their behavior and activity. Due to if you want to intercept other countries, the aircraft or fighter, you should maintain certain distance. If you too close, you are unprofessional and unsafe. So this is to give the others pressure. This is unprofessional, include the Navy. If you are same company with the other country, it's international water, every country can come to there. If you crossed, it's very dangerous. So this is the, recently we monitor PLA, Navy and Air Force, their behavior. Should be careful.
Yeah, I mean the U.S. released the report, isn't it, about and they highlighted 18, but it was basically 2 years of this sort of dangerous intercepts. And they said, General, that it was a coordinated, centralized campaign. So basically coming from Xi Jinping.
Yes, correct. Even he said we are peace and we will maintain this one. Don't trust. This is the PLA. They can challenge. They can provoke it to other countries. This is unsafe.
Chenlung, finally, Xi Jinping said that the U.S., this is back in the APEC summit between Xi and Biden, so the U.S. should honor its commitment of not supporting Taiwan independence and stop arming Taiwan and support China's peaceful reunification. Can you explain to us, this appears to be misrepresenting the U.S.'s own position on?
This is, I think, is the first time when China's any Chinese leader mentioned in front of the American president saying that you should support the unification between Taiwan and China. And when Xi Jinping wants to say that, he's only saying it for domestic consumption, I would say. The U.S. will not change its position, either on defending Taiwan or selling weapons to Taiwan. That will never change. But Xi Jinping tried to present a picture that he never heard about any use of force plan regarding 2027 or 2035. It's all rumors, so on and so forth. But he never gave out the use of force against Taiwan if there are certain conditions he thinks fit.
General Lee, Xi Jinping seems to be saying that by arming Taiwan, the U.S. is supporting Taiwan independence.
For the military side, we protect this area. Okay, we are against the invasion. This is our military core value. No doubt, this is our center belief. Believe Taiwan is the freedom and democracy country. So any country would like to invade Taiwan, we will use our force to do against them. And this is the good for Taiwan. I believe confidential to understand Taiwan have the capability to defend ourselves.
Chenlung, so essentially what General is saying is we build up our military so that nobody can change the status quo.
Right. I think this is very important. I think now even with KMT, they are starting to realize that it's only that there should have a bipartisan consensus on building up the defense of Taiwan, and only through that kind of strength that you can really face up with China.
We will try to maintain our living style. Okay, we don't like the authoritarian region to manage Taiwan. This is the older Taiwanese, all the people believe it.
General Lee, the US and the Philippines also have pledged an intelligence sharing framework, GSOMIA. Can you tell us why this is important?
GSOMIA is very important for the military, include Japan and South Korea. They have the GSOMIA. Now the Philippines and United States would like to build the GSOMIA. Very important, include the satellite, signal, and electronic, share information, collect, and more change information. I believe this is good mutual benefit to country.
And is Taiwan doing the same sort of thing with the US?
Taiwan have a lot of sensor, including radar and a lot of information sharing. Also we're sharing to our friendly country, also cooperation with Taiwan.
Okay, Chenlung?
GSOMIA is a very good mechanism, but so far I think due to the political obstacles, we may have some connection with the United States, but we don't have one with Japan and with neighboring country like Philippines. I think that is something in the future can be done with it, right?
Okay.
Friendly country would like to share information with Taiwan. Everybody, we just like the collective defense. Everybody together, yeah. Because if Taiwan have the dangerous, everybody have dangerous.
Absolutely.
Taiwan contingencies is international contingencies.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have to wrap up there. General Lee and Chenlung Kuo, thank you so much for joining Taiwan Talks.
Thank you.
If you liked our show, please search for us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching our show today. Stay safe and see you next time.